The story begins hundreds of years ago. At that time, if anyone suspected a woman of practicing black magic, she would be considered a witch, imprisoned, and then publicly hanged. A man, holding a religious book, sentenced the women according to what was written in it. Some women who practiced minor witchcraft admitted their mistake and begged for forgiveness. But one witch, who was blind in one eye, cursed the man, saying, "You will burn in hell." But her curse had no effect on the man. He immediately ordered all three to be hanged. After hanging the three witches from a bridge, their bodies were thrown into the water. As the soldiers finished the job and were about to leave, the priest reminded them that according to the book, the witches' bodies had to be retrieved and given a proper burial so that they would never return. A soldier laughed it off, saying he was sure they were dead and no one ever returns. But the priest was deeply worried. To complete the task, he came back to the bridge at midnight and began pulling the witches up one by one, chanting spells. He did all this without fear, even though one of the witches' bodies was moving grotesquely. But pulling up the last witch was extremely difficult. The priest couldn't lift her, and instead, he himself fell into the water. Before the dark force could kill him, he tried to escape and climbed back onto the bridge, frantically searching the book for spells to protect himself. But he didn't have much time because the witch's demonic spirit leapt out of the water and used her powers to burn the book. Then she killed the priest in exactly the same way he had tried to kill them. Now the story moves forward by a few years. War preparations are underway. Among thousands of soldiers, warriors, Baemon and his companion Felson joke and argue about who would kill more enemies. Soon, the battle begins. Both are skilled warriors who fought many wars over the years and always emerged victorious against those who spoke against God. Their war in God's name knew no time or season. They were always ready to kill their enemies. Years later, during a war, Baemon's army attacked a city called Smyrna but couldn't recognize the enemy, and Baemon ended up killing a woman with his sword. Soon, they realized they had massacred an unarmed city. The next morning, Baemon asked a church leader about the sin committed against women and children. The man replied that he only follows God's command. Baemon questioned if it was truly God, who wanted such things, to have women and children killed. After a short argument, Baemon quietly walked away with Felson, knowing they couldn't lay a hand on someone sent by the church. He declared that he would no longer work for them. A month later, in search of shelter, they entered a house and found a dead couple on the bed, their bodies covered in boils. Fearing infection, they burned the house and left. Soon, they came upon a town over which hundreds of crows were flying. Baemon wanted to enter the town to find some food and supplies, but Felson was reluctant. Still, due to necessity, they both entered. The town was ravaged by a plague. People were praying to God for relief from the devil's curse. The two warriors were confused by the situation. A soldier named Johann explained to them that a demonic plague had spread everywhere, with no known cure. As Baemon was arranging food for the horses, a boy helping him dropped his sword, and the shopkeeper noticed the symbol on it. Fearing recognition, Baemon and Felson tried to escape, but soldiers soon surrounded them. At first, they fought valiantly, but when they saw many archers aiming at them, they had no choice but to surrender. They were taken captive. At that moment, a man named Debelzak, who worked for the church, stopped the soldiers and examined the symbol on Baemon's sword. He took them to another room where the head priest, sick with plague, told them that this was the curse of a witch from hell and that the church had captured such a witch. She needed to be taken to a sacred monastery where the last copy of Solomon's book was kept. Only its spells could destroy the witch and her curse. Baemon asked why they were needed for this task. The priest explained that all of the church's soldiers had fallen ill, many had died, and Baemon and Felson would be accompanied by Father Debelzak and Johann. Baemon refused, saying he no longer served the church. He knew his refusal would land them in prison. There, he met the woman accused of being a witch. She didn't appear like a witch at all. Felsen even joked about how furious the head priest must have looked when Behmen refused. Later, Behmen was awakened by the sound of the woman crying. He saw whip marks on her body. Seeing her condition melted his heart, and he agreed to fulfill the church's request. While planning their route, Johann warned that the forest path was the shortest but extremely dangerous. No one had ever returned from it. Behmen asked if anyone had ever even reached the monastery. Debelzaq introduced them to a man named Hagamar, who knew the path well but was in jail for fraud. Behmen offered Hagamar freedom in exchange for guiding them, and he agreed. The priest added sleeping pills to the witch's food to subdue her and planned to move her while she slept. But as they approached, she attacked. Behmen and Felsen restrained her and knocked her unconscious with a blow to the neck. She was locked in a cage, and their journey began. During the journey, Johann asked the priest whether the girl was truly a witch and what proof they had, as she didn't seem like one. Debelzaq explained that she had appeared alone, speaking. Strangely, and within 15 days, the plague had spread through the city. Other cities had reported the same. Johann disagreed, saying she had never been seen in his village, yet the plague spread there too. Meanwhile, Behmen and Felsen suspected they were being followed. They set a trap and caught a young man who claimed he wanted to become a warrior like them. He wanted to join their mission to prove he was no longer a child. Felsen laughed and told him to go home, but the boy challenged him to a sword fight. Felsen, an expert swordsman, accepted and defeated him harshly to crush his ego. Behmen interrupted and said the boy should come along. They were already far from the city. That evening, when Behmen brought food to the girl, she distracted him and asked if the priest had whipped her. She confirmed, saying, "I don't want to die." She shared how in her village, an innocent girl was falsely accused of being a witch and was drowned, only to survive and then be burned alive. Behmen promised her a chance to prove her innocence and assured she wouldn't meet a horrific end. When he returned, Debelzaq warned him to stay away from the witch. She could manipulate his mind. That night, Johann took the first watch, but the priest arrived and said he'd take over. As Johann left, the girl cried and begged him not to. Leave her alone. Moved, Johann approached, and the girl grabbed him by the neck. When the priest tried to intervene, she stabbed him with his own cross. By the time the others arrived, she had escaped. They followed her into a nearby village and saw a fleeing woman, but she turned out to be someone else. Then they saw someone running in another direction and followed. They entered a narrow maze full of rotting corpses, likely plague victims. Meanwhile, Johann heard his dead daughter's voice and followed it, only to find the boy, Kay. Kay tried to snap him out of it, but Johann kept calling him by his daughter's name. Scared, Kay stabbed him in the chest. When the others arrived, he explained what happened. Felsen caught the fleeing witch again, who begged not to be taken to the monastery, fearing they would kill her. They recaged her and moved on. The next morning, they prayed for Johann's soul. Debelzaq told Behmen that because of the witch, they lost a comrade. He warned them to speak cautiously, as the witch could hear and exploit their weaknesses. Behmen ignored him. Seeing this, the witch gave a slight smile toward Debelzaq. The journey continued. They reached an old, crumbling bridge that might collapse if crossed. Behmen bravely crossed first and had the warriors follow with horses. Finally, they brought the witch's cage across. As Kay was about to fall into the ravine, the witch grabbed his wrist and effortlessly pulled him up, an unusual feat for a normal girl. The bridge collapsed after they crossed. With no other way, they entered the forest. A dense fog made it hard to see, so Behmen decided they would wait until it cleared. Hagamar, fearing the witch, was ready to kill her, but Behmen and Felsen stopped him. Suddenly, The witch howled like a wolf, summoning a pack of wolves. As they drew near, Bayman ordered everyone to fight. They killed the wolves, but more howls could be heard. They decided to leave. While leaving, a wolf attacked Hagamar, throwing him off his horse. The wolves tore him apart savagely. These wolves didn't seem normal. The next morning, Bayman tried to kill the witch. The priest tried to stop him, but Bayman pushed him aside. Felson calmed him, reminding him they were close. Soon, they reached the monastery. Kay entered through a small opening and opened the door for everyone. The priest led them to the sanctuary, expecting to find fellow priests. But the plague had reached here, too. All were dead. Debelzaq broke down, praying for mercy. But one priest was still alive, and pointed toward the book before dying. Debelzaq approached the book. When he touched it, the remaining priest died. Debelzaq explained that this was the last surviving copy of the Key of Solomon, a sacred text containing powerful spells that could destroy witches and dark forces. It was written in a coded language that only monks of that monastery could decipher. Fortunately, Debelzaq had studied there in his youth and could read it. He began searching for the ritual that would break the witch's curse. He needed a room, filled with sacred symbols and books to perform the ritual. Kay found such a room in the monastery. When they entered it, they saw numerous crucifixes and religious relics hanging on the walls. The atmosphere was heavy. Debelzaq began reading the incantations aloud, and as he did, the witch began howling and thrashing violently in her cage. Her body twisted unnaturally, and she seemed to be in great pain. Suddenly, the witch spoke in a deep, terrifying voice. The voice wasn't hers. It sounded like a demon. Everyone froze. Then the witch screamed, and the cage burst open with a shockwave of energy. Everyone was thrown back. As they got up, they saw the girl levitating in the air. Her voice had fully transformed into a demonic one. She confessed that she was not a witch, but a demon from the underworld who had possessed the girl's body. For hundreds of years, she had been searching for this book, the Key of Solomon. Now that she was in the monastery, her goal was almost complete. The demon laughed, saying that trapping it and bringing it here was exactly what it needed. Everyone was stunned. Debelzaq realized that transporting the demon was part of its own plan. It had manipulated them. It had needed the book to summon other demons and open the gate to hell. The demon now spread its massive wings and flew upward, destroying part of the ceiling. The sky turned dark. Demonic creatures began appearing in the monastery. Bayman and Felson, along with Debelzaq and Kay, prepared to fight. The final battle had begun. Debelzaq began chanting protection spells from the book, while the others defended him. The demon attacked, trying to stop the ritual. One by one, the demonic creatures began surrounding them. Felson fought fiercely, but was mortally wounded. Despite being badly hurt, he kept fighting to protect the group. Debelzaq continued reading from the book, but the demon impaled him through the chest. Even in his dying moments, Debelzaq didn't stop chanting the final spell. With his last breath, he completed the ritual, giving Bayman the power to fight the demon head-on. Bayman held off the demon long enough for Kay to recite the concluding incantation. As the spell finished, a powerful light engulfed the monastery. The demon screeched in pain as it was pulled out of the girl's body. The demonic form was destroyed by the holy light, and the girl collapsed, unconscious but alive. Bayman, however, was also mortally wounded in the battle. As he lay dying, he told Kay to protect the girl and keep the book safe. He passed away with peace in his eyes, knowing he had saved humanity from a great evil. Kay and the girl left the monastery together. The sky cleared. The plague had vanished. The darkness was gone. The girl, now free of the demon, thanked Kay. Together they walked away, carrying the sacred book to a safe place so that it would never again fall into the hands of darkness.